Hey guys, today we are starting Act 2 of Macbeth, and I wanted to make this video so everybody who's out today can make sure they get this annotation of another one of Macbeth's soliloquies accurate. But before we get to that, we need to set the scene. So if you remember at the very end of Act 1, Lady Macbeth has manipulated Macbeth into agreeing to murder King Duncan, right? So we move into Act 2, and it is the night after their dinner party, and everybody is getting off to bed. I'm just going to read through this quickly. I'm actually going to read through the translation, and I'm going to post this on Canvas for you all as well. Make sure to read this before starting the annotation. So we have Banquo with his son Fleance, and they're going to start a dialogue. Here we go. What time is it, boy? The moon has set. I haven't heard a clock strike, though. The moon sets at 12. I think it's later than that, sir. Wait, take my sword. The heavens are being thrifty, keeping the stars dark. Take this, too. He gives Fleance his belt and dagger. Sleepiness weighs on me like lead, but I don't want to sleep. Angels of mercy help me to control the evil thoughts that fill my mind whenever I lay down to rest. Macbeth enters with a servant who carries a torch. Give me my sword. Who's there? A friend. Interesting that Macbeth says he's a friend, right? They are very good friends, but he's going to try to murder people. Banquo says, what, you're not asleep yet? The king's in bed. He's been unusually pleased and has given a gift to your servants. He wants to give this diamond to your wife for being such an attentive hostess and ensuring his total comfort. A little bit of dramatic irony here where we see Banquo telling us that Duncan is so happy with the way that the way that Macbeth and Lady Macbeth are hosting him, right? And we all know as the audience that they're actually planning his murder. As we were unprepared for his visit, we could only be imperfect hosts. If we had been prepared, everything would have been much better. Everything is all right. I had a dream last night about the three witches. Some of their predictions about you have come true. I don't think about them, but when we have an hour to spare, I'd like to talk about it a bit more if you'd be willing. Whenever you like. If you will agree to follow me when the time comes, it will result in more honor for you. As long as I don't lose any honor in trying to gain more and can keep a clear conscience, I will listen to you. In the meantime, rest well. Thanks, sir. The same to you. Let's go back to these lines. As long as I don't lose any honor in trying to gain more and can keep a clear conscience, I will listen to you. Banquo is being presented here as a foil, right? As an opposite character to Macbeth. Macbeth had all of these same thoughts. He was manipulated out of them, though, by Lady Macbeth. But Banquo is going to remain the honorable man. He's like, as long as I don't have to do anything bad to essentially make these predictions from the witches come true, then I'm game, right? I'll do what you want to do. Macbeth was obviously lying when he says that he doesn't think about the witches. He thinks about them a lot as they're going to like motivate him to commit murder. All right, so Banquo and Fleance leave. Macbeth to his servant says, go and tell Lady Macbeth that when my drink is ready, she should strike the bell, then get yourself to bed. Okay, we have some metaphor going on here. His drink being ready is like the fact that I'm blanking on the word. The chamberlains, the chamberlains are going to get drunk, right? Lady Macbeth says she's going to get them drunk so that they'll pass out and then they can do whatever they want to do to Duncan. So when that is all ready, when the drink is ready, she should strike the bell, and that'll be the signal that Macbeth can then go and murder Duncan, okay? So now we are going to get started on this annotation. So I'm going to go ahead and read the soliloquy for you. Macbeth is on stage alone, and he is going to start speaking this aloud, okay? Is this a dagger which I see before me, the handle toward my hand? Come, let me clutch thee. I have thee not, and yet I see thee still. Art thou not fatal vision, sensible to feeling as to sight? Or art thou but a dagger of the mind, a false creation proceeding from the heat-oppressed brain? I see thee yet in form as palpable at this which now I draw. He draws his dagger. He takes out his little dagger. Thou marshallest me the way that I was going, and such an instrument I was to use. Mine eyes are made the fools of the other senses, or else worth all the rest. I see thee still, and on thy blade and dudgeon gouts of blood, which was not so before. There's no such thing. It is the bloody business which informs thus to mine eyes now. Now, over the one-half world, nature seems dead, and wicked dreams abuse the curtained sleep. Witchcraft celebrates pale Hecate's offerings, and withered murder, alarmed by his sentinel, the wolf, whose howls his watch, thus with his stealthy pace, with Tarquin's ravishing strides towards his design, moves like a ghost. Thou sure and firm-set earth, hear not my steps, which way they walk, for fear the very stones prate of my whereabouts, and take the present horror from the time, which now suits with it, whiles I threat, he lives, words to the heat of deeds too cold breath gives. A bell rings, that's the signal. I go and it is done. The bell invites me. Hear it not, Duncan, for it is a knell that summons thee to heaven or to hell. Okay, a lot going on here. But before we actually get to our annotation, I need to go over a few definitions really quick, okay? One thing we're going to be annotating for is allusions. All right, allusions are a reference, typically brief, to a person, place, or thing, event, or other literary work with which the reader is presumably familiar. The author, that is, does not have to explicitly explain these references. More often than not, writers choose to let readers fill in the blanks. Let's look at a few examples. His remarks opened a Pandora's box of comments, okay? This is an allusion to a Greek myth in which the figure of Pandora opened a vessel that released death and other evils upon the world. This allusion, therefore, refers to a multitude of negative outcomes. If I say, like, man, he's like the Michael Jordan of his team, we all know that I mean he's like the best one on the team, right? That is an allusion to Michael Jordan. Everyone knows who Michael Jordan is, and he's like one of the greatest basketball players of all time. And so if I say that, the audience is going to know, man, he must be really, really good. Okay? Here's another example. In Fahrenheit 451, Ray Bradbury writes, he was eating a light supper at 9 in the evening when the front door cried out in the hall, and Mildred ran from the parlor like a native fleeing an eruption of Vesuvius. This allusion is to Italy's Mount Vesuvius, a volcano that erupted in 79 AD, burying the Roman city of Pompeii. Bradbury is communicating that Mildred left the parlor in a panicked hurry. Okay? Most people are very familiar with the story of Pompeii, being like kind of caught unawares by the erupting of Mount Vesuvius, and everybody kind of became like frozen in time, trying to escape. You can go visit Pompeii, it's very cool. Okay, and those are the other ones. I'm not going to read them to you, but the whole idea here is that a writer is going to make a reference to something that their audience is going to be familiar with, and it's going to communicate something important to the audience without the writer having to explicitly say it, okay? We're also going to be looking for rhyming couplets. A couplet is formed by 2 lines of verse that rhyme at the ends. Okay, here's an example. Winter is my favorite season. I love to ski, so that's the reason. Ha. Deep in the forest there lives an old bear. If you go hiking, you'd better beware. All right, just the very end rhymes. A few reasons, or like the purpose of a writer using rhyming couplets. For one, rhythm. The quick pace of a rhyming couplet brings energy to a poem, right? Look at this example. It's from Tiger, Tiger. Tiger, tiger, burning bright in the forest of the night. What immortal hand or eye could frame thy fearful symmetry, is how you could pronounce it. The rhyming at the end creates a natural rhythm you fall into, and it kind of creates like a citing, faster rhythm. Imagery. Couplets can be colorfully written, creating an image in just a few words. Robert Frost told visual narratives through his poetry, often using rhyming couplets like in Nothing Gold Can Stay. It's a beautiful poem. Nature's first green is gold, her hardest hue to hold. Her early leaf's a flower, but only so an hour. This poem's about like the fleetingness of beauty and nature and life, etc. So these rhymes are an impactful way of creating images. Emphasis, a couplet emphasizes an idea by creating and resolving a thought into lines. Shakespeare places couplets at choice moments in his plays to draw the reader's and audience's attention to that moment. In Romeo and Juliet, the use of the couplet signals the importance of these lines. Parting is such sweet sorrow, that I shall say good night till it be morrow, like until the next day. And then conclusion, a lot of times, and Shakespeare does this, poets use couplets to signify the end of the poem and to leave a poem on a succinct note that leaves a lasting impression. The sonnet form consists of 14 lines of iambic pentameter with a couplet at the end to conclude and summarize the poem. So Shakespeare ended all of his sonnets with a rhyming couplet at the end. You'll notice that at the end of many of his scenes in this play, maybe all of them, I haven't looked it up, he ends it in a rhyming couplet. Even if the whole rest of the scene isn't rhyming, the last couple lines will, okay? So long as men can breathe or eyes can see, so long lives this, and this gives life to thee. All right, just a nice, beautiful way to end something. All right, and a reminder, paradox is a literary device that contradicts itself, but contains a plausible kernel of truth. Fair is foul and foul is fair, nothing is but what is not, lesser than Macbeth and greater, not so happy, yet much happier. That's the prophecy to Banquo, that his sons will be kings. And this supernatural soliciting cannot be ill, cannot be good. All right. So a couple of allusions that I'm going to front load you with because we are an audience that would not be familiar with them. Shakespeare's audience would have been familiar with these allusions. All right. The first one is Hecate. Hecate was the Greek goddess of the moon, witchcraft, ghosts, and crossroads. She was most often shown holding 2 torches or a key in a triple form. So she's the goddess of the moon and witchcraft, and also the goddess of, like, when you're at a crossroads, you're making a decision, right? You're going to choose to do one thing, and that's going to set you on that path, or you're going to choose to do something else, and it's going to set you on another path. All right, all of those are kind of applicable in the context we are about to read this allusion. The second one is Tarquin. Tarquin was a Roman who was infamous, famous in a bad way, for his rape of a Roman noblewoman, Lucretia. Shakespeare wrote about this crime and Lucretia's suicide in a narrative poem entitled Lucrece. Okay? So Tarquin, well known for essentially like breaking into this woman's room and assaulting her and raping her. Okay? So keep that in mind as we are beginning our annotation. All right, I'm going to switch back to my dot cam, and we're going to go ahead and get started. So before we get started, we're going to be looking a lot at the dagger. So it's the most important symbol in this scene. So before we get started, I want to kind of brainstorm with you the literal components of the dagger, or a dagger, as well as the symbolic components of a dagger. Okay? So first, it's obviously a weapon, literally. It stabs. It kills. I think what's important is that it's small, so it can be hidden. It's not like you're like carrying a big sword and everybody can see you. You can hide this. You can put it under your shirt. Nobody knows you have a dagger. So you can be stealthy, or you're doing it like in secret. Okay? So I'm going to say can be hidden. Right, symbolically a dagger can represent murder, death, treason, especially like if you're hiding it and doing it in secret, right? Okay, now I'm going to use colored highlighters, mostly because I just got a bunch of different colors and it's fun. But if you just want to